Planning Board for December 22nd, 2011 will now come to order. Anyone wishing to address the board, if they would please sign the green sheet and turn it into Ms. Williams for the record. Ms. Washington, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Ms. Remark, Mr. Hoitzma, Mr. Hurt, Ms. Lesage, Ms. Benjamin, Mr. Moore,
Here.
Mr. Neal, Mr. Fishback, Mr. Bohan,
Here.
Ms. Washington here, Mr. McGinnis.
Here.
Mr. Chair, Merry Christmas, and you have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for showing up for the second meeting this month. First, we'll have the approval of the minutes from November 17th, 2011. Are there any changes to the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Excellent. Ms. Washington, item number 4.
Item number 4, rezoning, planned commercial development amendment, Golden Triangle, DEV 2011-096.
May we hear from staff?
Yes, thank you very much. Dennis Mrozek, planner with the City of Daytona Beach. Before we begin, I just wanted to express my appreciation for allowing us to have this extra meeting. I know it takes a lot of time to be able to do this, but we do appreciate it, and it does show you great dedication that you've shown all year long, and I do appreciate it. Okay, the first item on tonight, item number 4, is the rezoning for the Golden Triangle Plan Development Commercial Amendment. The request is to rezone 7.05 acres of land, which is located at 2900 Bellevue Avenue, and it is amending the existing planned commercial development to allow amusement, retail, and restaurant uses on Lot 1, and other minor site modifications to accommodate the proposed uses. The site location, you might be familiar with it. It's located out there at, again, 2900 Bellevue, just south of West ISB, and it's surrounded by Tomoka Farms Road, West ISB, I said, and I-95. The future land use of the site is retail, and the current zoning of the site is PCD, which is the Golden Triangle. A little history on the Golden Triangle PCD. It was originally approved in 1993 as a 2-lot development. Lot 2 was never developed. Lot 1, which is the existing building right now, is a 26,000 square foot building. Did house an automobile museum. Accessory uses to the building included food and beverage sales and retail sales. Back in during the First Amendment in 2006, motorcycle sales and service were added to the list of permitted uses, better known as Cycle World Daytona. Provided a couple of pictures for you. The current building as it sits, again a 2-story building. You can see the monument sign located right over there. The applicant does have the opportunity to modify that sign, but we'll be keeping basically the same dimensions of the sign that are currently approved. The other picture is the south side of the property, shows the parking along Bellevue with some of the landscaping. You see some of the tree canopy that's along the southern portion of the site. No intention to remove any of those existing trees. Here's a site layout for you as it currently exists. And again, there are going to be no modifications to the existing site plan, at least no substantial modifications. I just wanted to point out Lot 2, you'll see it right over there. It's on the western side, and it really circles around where the I-95 ramp is. The Lot 1, which is the lot we're really looking at, you can see it with the existing building right there and the existing parking that's in place. The proposed use for the site, which will be amending the PCD agreement, would be for family entertainment and amusement center. Some of the uses that would be associated with this would include bowling alleys, video arcades, amusement rides, miniature golf, cinemas, pool tables, some live entertainment, restaurant, bar and lounges, retail sales, and there's also offices permitted that are associated with the particular use. One of the concerns with this particular site has to do with the site visibility. If you're traveling on West ISB or over by Tomoka Farms Road, it's very difficult to get a good look at the building. It's kind of hidden back there behind a pretty substantial number of trees. One of the things that the applicant was requesting was to perhaps clean up some of those trees in that area to provide a better site triangle to the development. If you take a look over here, and I've got the site, I've zoomed in for you. This is West ISB to the top. You see Tomoka Farms Road is over here. Here's the existing building. Now this is a landscape plan, and you can see what we have as the identified as the site triangle for the visibility. The applicant has requested to remove, and I should point out this is also along here a portion of the scenic setback, scenic thoroughfare requirement, a 50-foot scenic thoroughfare requirement. The applicant has requested to remove some of the trees that are located in that triangle to improve the visibility. The total number of trees that would be removed are 24. They would be planting 5 additional trees. They would still end up with a net 72 trees, which is the minimum requirement for this portion of the scenic setback, so they do meet that standard. One of the things I wanted to mention about this, in addition to taking some of those trees out, they were going to be cleaning up some of the trees, maybe limbing them up, just to increase the visibility to the building. As far as a waiver request, there is a waiver request for the parking. The parking is all existing. When we do the calculation for the parking that would be required for these particular types of uses, we'd come up with 196 spaces that would be required. The waiver would be to be providing 154 spaces, which is what is currently existing on the site. As far as a recommendation, staff does recommend approval to amend the existing plan development commercial rezoning request with the staff conditions. And I should point out, there were in the staff report a list of 5 staff conditions. They were all related to the technical requirements in the land development code that really would be addressed during their final site plan approval. Some of these included perhaps striping the front of the lot to, for fire trucks and some utility questions that would be addressed. The rezoning request is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the City Commission at the January 18th, 2012 meeting and the February 1st, 2012 for the second reading. An affirmative vote of 6 by the Planning Board members shall be required to recommend approval to the City Commission. We do have the applicant here available. We also have the applicant's representative, Mark Doust, if the board has any questions.
All right. Does the board have any questions of the staff?
I have one question, okay?
Yes.
I just want to know, is there any room to expand the parking now? If this thing really takes off, and we're about 42 behind as far as the number of vehicle spaces, would there be any place that they could put parking now?
Well-
That's as contrary to putting on one of the major arteries that's, coming right around it.
Well, and perhaps the applicant can
Okay.
speak on this later, but there are opportunities with the Lot 2, which is undeveloped. And if it was an opportunity to be able to take that space and maybe increase the parking.
I'm just concerned if it really takes off, which
And-
I hope it does.
Yeah, and if they need that parking,
Yeah.
they do have that opportunity to be able to use that space.
That's fine.
That's a good point. Did we hear from the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Mark Doust, and I'm a project engineer representing the applicant. First of all, I'd also like to thank you all for coming tonight. I know this is the second time of the month, but we appreciate it. It helps keep all the projects on schedule. This site has been used twice before, and the first time was the Classic Auto Museum, and it just didn't seem to have enough draw to keep it going. Of course, the second time was the Cycle World, and it seemed to do well for a while, and then it went under. I think part of the reasons was, of course, the economy, but part of the reasons was also the visibility. It's a big building. It's 50,000 square feet, but sometimes you'd hardly know it's there. This use, I think, is more fitting or more befitting for this corridor than either of the two previous uses. Essentially, what is being proposed is a family entertainment center, a type of facility where you can go and the parents can go, they can bring their teenagers and also their younger kids, and there would be something there for all of them. And that's pretty important to think about, because a lot of places where you go if you have young kids, there's things that entertain the young kids, but the parents can't wait to leave. So this is trying to set up a facility which really caters to all. And a little later on, I'll let Carmen tell you a little bit more about it. One of the things we've asked for is to open up a site view angle. And if you have more questions about that, I did bring more pictures. But if you've been by the site, it has a very large number of trees that are in the scenic buffer. And it's not really the number of trees, because we could plant a landscape plan that has twice that number and you'd still have better visibility. It's the size and how they're spaced. And when you go by the site, you really can't see into the site. In looking at it from a number of different angles, what we think is best is if we could open up a partial view angle if you are eastbound on 92. And the landscape plan is designed to do that. It's designed to open up a little bit of a view angle. It also adds a lot of accent plantings around the building, because if we're going to open up a view to the west end of the building, we want to dress up the west end of the building. So you'll see shrubbery, ground cover, and some other plants next to the building. The site plan itself is, there's no other changes on the exterior of the site. It is part of a platted piece of property that had two lots. You had Lot 1, which has been developed, and Lot 2, which has never been developed. The way the current PUD and the previous PUDs are set up, if they ever wanted to develop Lot 2, they would have to come back before the board and essentially go through the rezoning process. Bob, you brought up a question about parking. One of the reasons why in the previous use Cycle World had the same kind of parking waiver is because the building's so big. Even if we only wanted 30,000 square feet, the parking is based upon the total aggregate square foot, so we still get stuck with the large parking requirement. We believe there's going to be plenty of parking. However, if there was a problem, we do have Lot 2 that's available to bring parking in and take care of it. And if we did have a parking problem, and that would be a great problem to have, we'd be happily coming back before you to add some parking. But that kind of takes care of a little bit of the site issues. I'd like for Carmen Malhotra to come up and say a few words. She is representing Lucky Entertainment. They are the lessees of the building. They're going to be putting a substantial investment in there, and she can tell you a little bit about the details. Thank you.
Carmen?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for entertaining my application this evening. I certainly appreciate your time, knowing that the holidays are barreling down on us, and you've allowed an extension of this meeting today. Thank you.
You need to say your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Carmen Malhotra, Malhotra. My address is 3402 John Anderson Drive, or as the locals would say, Ormond, but I'm still working on that. I've been vacationing here in Daytona Beach for many years as a small child with my parents, and my parents got a place in the shores, and I continued to come here, and even now as an adult with my own children. And it's really beautiful here. This is a slice of paradise. What I did notice with having two small children is when it's raining or when the weather is very, very hot, there's not much to do indoors. And I thought, that's certainly something that's missing in such a fabulous place where so many people come to vacation. I thought, what would I like to do? Where would I like to go? And I thought, wouldn't it be great to do something with bowling, an arcade, and not like a Chuck E. Cheese where the little kids go, but something where I can go with my husband also and feel comfortable there and not be looking at the clock thinking, my goodness, when can I leave? So I started looking around at different sites, and this I was thinking about 2 years ago, because I love this area, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could figure out a way to get down here and actually earn a living and still enjoy this slice of paradise. And I looked at various locations and all along that ISB, and it was this past summer that I came across this Cycle World location. And I don't know if anyone's ever been to that building before, but it's really big. And the way that the prior owner laid it out, it seems so conducive to that idea, that family entertainment center idea that I had. It's actually a hybrid, this family entertainment center idea, and it's been implemented in other cities. The one that I can point out that is most similar to what I'm looking at is called Latitude 30, and that's in Jacksonville. And that has the bowling lanes, a beautiful, nice restaurant, and arcade, and a movie theater, and it's doing very, very well. I find that the location of this family entertainment center right along the 95 is great. It's almost welcoming everyone into the Daytona Beach area. It allows the neighboring towns to be able to come in and enjoy it as well. So that way, it's not just a tourist destination, but I think also something that the locals can come to as well on a Friday or Saturday night. Everyone has kids, and everyone has to do something with them. So rather than having to drive all the way out to Orlando, wouldn't it be so nice to maybe drive 15, 20 minutes and actually be somewhere that's catering to you and allowing you to have fun with your family? I hope that the board approves my application for the use. And I certainly believe in this project. I've moved my family down here, and I am investing everything that I have in this project because I believe that everyone will come and enjoy. That's what I want. Are there any questions that I can answer?
Right, any questions? Yeah,
Will the
well,
project be in stages, or as you get started, you work to the end until it's complete?
Well, hopefully it can get built all in one shot. I'm trying to get my approvals in line so that way I can pull permits and get the bowling and the restaurant and everything constructed all at once so we can open and entertain people. I would like to add some few things later on down the line, but I would like to take guidance from the community and see. Right now, I'm planning to have about 12 bowling lanes. If I see that the demand is greater for the bowling, I can always add a few more lanes. I have a little bit of flexibility because it is such a big, big building. I have roughly 20 semi-thousand square feet downstairs and 20 semi-thousand square feet upstairs. So, the options are there to do a mini golf. I know there's a lot of outdoor mini golf here, but I haven't seen any indoor mini golf. There's so many just options and possibilities that I can really run with. But I think that what I'm going to start out with, I'm going to try to do as much as I can, and then, see what the community comes back with.
very good. We'll open up for questions from the public. Do we have anyone that would like to speak for? Against, we have Mr. Nicholson.
Sorry.
John Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. I went out to the site. I walked around it, talked to the owner out there. Parking, there is already a cleared area east of their parking lot. They can add about 75, not a problem. I do have a problem with bulldozing the trees. I understand that you can't see it, but what they're proposing is they're going to bulldoze in an area that you can only see coming from the west to east. That would be approximately 150,000 people living in the western side of our county versus the 80 or 8 million people plus the 350,000 residents or more that live on the east side. So to me, if you're going to fight for something, fight for the 8 million versus the 100,000. Two, it's been a problem property. As you know, this is the third venue out there. If you're coming from the east, where I'm presuming most of the people, and I'm presuming people from Palm Coast, Flagler, New Smyrna Beach will be coming up to this, you will end up coming off the expressway and you won't see it because of the trees. What they're doing is they're getting the trees on this side. So you're not going to see it until you look in your rear view mirror. The trees that they're planning on cutting down are mostly oak trees, one cypress, and then, of course, a little bit further on, there are some palms. The palms I don't mind. There are tons of them everywhere. They're not specimen trees. What I'm proposing to you is something new and something, an alternative. The problem they have is visibility. One, I'm recommending that they paint the building a more vibrant color because that tan is just not eye-catching. Secondly, what's more important, and I know you're not allowed to do this, but if you're going to have a choice, you have a catch-22. You're either going to bulldoze the trees or an alternative, which I'm suggesting, is a signage. If they were able to put in front of the trees, next to the fence or above the fence, a sign that is maybe 2 or 3 feet tall and 20 feet long, so that when you're coming from the east towards the west, and both ways actually, it sits out in front of the trees. No matter what you do, if you put signage on the building, you can't see it. All right? Most businesses are allowed to have signage on their buildings. It does not help this property whatsoever. So I'm asking a second sign. If you're going to do a variance, have it in signage that is of value to them. Cutting these trees doesn't really help them that much. That other sign will be extremely important to them. When you're coming down, you see Lucky's. You can see it coming both ways. They need the extra signage more than they need losing these trees. So I'm asking you to consider the signage for them. You have a choice. Either bulldoze the trees, and you've got places all over. McDonald's up on Bellevue. You can't see it, but you know it's there. Dunlawton, same thing. All those properties, you can't see the buildings. They have the signage. What they need is a visible signage in the front that people can see. Thank you.
All right, we'll close to the public. Board, your comments?
Yeah, I just, I'm very much in favor of it. It's something that's very much needed, as she pointed out, in the area. It's kind of like a chunk of cheese on steroids a little bit. So, but, I like the concept, just like if you have small children and then you've got like teenagers. Teenagers can go do the putt-putt with their friends. You can be there with the small kids. It's something for everybody, and I really honestly think it's going to be a family-oriented thing that we need badly. We've lost the bowling alley on Ridgewood. The one on Mason is closed, and so it's either Bel Air Plaza or Ormond. And then so now all of the people from this area can have advantage of the bowling and the arcade, and just I think it's great.
Any other comments?
I'd be interested in what the board thinks about that, putting an additional sign. And actually, I guess I also would like to think the applicant.
Oh, yeah, that would be important too.
Well, the building is so secure by the trees and stuff, and they're meeting the tree, the landscape limit, that needs to be there. And I think I don't know that just a sign, especially where it is, I think a sign would look like a billboard, and it would be just a passing thing that you wouldn't pay any attention to it. And if you can see the building and then want to know what is that building, especially, it's got Lucky and it's got this stuff on it, and you can see it visually, then you're going to go there, and then I think after that too, then it's going to be a sought after place that, it's going to be a drive-to location after everybody finds out where it is. But it's, even when it was Martin's, car thing, the only way you could see it was if you were down in Bellevue going to the flea market. So I think that the sight line needs to be open.
That you like the cutting of the trees?
Yeah.
Is that what you're-
You can't, there's no way to see it except, because I've driven all around, and like I said, if you go on Bellevue, which nobody hardly travels Bellevue unless you're going to the flea market, then it's right. You can see it. It's open, and you notice the buildings there. But on 92, it's invisible. And I think that they need all the help that they can get to get the visibility, to get the people in, to get it going, and to keep it going. And the more visibility that it has, the more recognition that people will give it and go to the site and use the site. And I hope they're here in a year asking for additional parking. But I know I'll be somebody that'll, because children like the arcades, and then you can get a pizza, do whatever.
I think that as long as they're meeting the requirements for the trees, then I don't think we need to get nitpicky about allowing them to, or not allowing them to cut down some trees and put a sign up. If, you know, at the end of the day, if they're meeting that requirement, then I think that they've done their part. So I don't think we should get nitpicky per se about cutting down trees as long as it's under the code.
No, I think we should do whatever landscape modification is necessary to promote the success of the business. I think we're all interested in the success of the business. And the landscaping preserves the appropriate counts that we need to retain. And if we do the proper trimming and relocating of trees, I'm fine with that. And then in the future, they can see if a sign might be something in addition, or an additional sign, that something that can be looked at later.
I think Mr. Hurt made a good point. When he said the sign, with it still blocked, and you can't see the building.
Yeah.
Right.
It could be interpreted as a billboard as much as anything. And
You see a sign that said Lucky, and you go, what's Lucky?
where it's like, yeah, you still can't see it. So I tend to agree with that too.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
I agree, and we had the same issue when we were giving approval on the sign that's out there now, because there was a problem in seeing the building. So at this point, I think the trees, we would need to go along with what they're doing, what their request is, and then at a later date put a sign out there. But the building itself needs to be a little more visible.
All right. I think everyone's had a say. I'm ready for a motion.
Make a motion to approve agenda item number 4, rezoning plan commercial development 2011-096 Golden Triangle PD amendment.
Second.
With these
With conditions of staff.
conditions,
Right.
and they need to be specified too. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
We're looking forward to it.
I know, me too.
Ms. Washington?
You can leave some tokens if you want.
Item number 5.
Thank you.
Item number 5, rezoning. Rezoning. Planned Redevelopment District, PRD, William Square, DEV 2011-065.
May we hear from staff, Mr. Jeffries?
Good evening. I'm Jason Jeffries with the Redevelopment Office. This is a request to approve a PRD for the property located at the southeast corner of Palmetto Avenue and Magnolia in the downtown area. This is an existing plan unit development as a residential development for what was called the William Tower at the time with 38 units. The applicant is now coming back and requesting a 15-unit single-family subdivision with associated improvements. As I mentioned, the property is at the corner of of Palmetto Avenue and Magnolia Avenue. Behind, this is Beach Street in the core of downtown, and this is located behind it in the downtown redevelopment area. The property is zoned mixed use, or high intensity mixed use, which allows 40 units per acre. And the subject property is project is requesting densities that are far less than what's allowed in that particular land use designation. The property is currently zoned to RPOD. As I mentioned before, this was an existing RPOD. It was approved back in 2007 by City Commission, and they're coming forward with a zoning change for their new request for the townhome development. The one thing I'd like to note, I think in your staff report showed, and I noticed this today, and we've corrected in the maps, but I believe in your staff report it showed the property to the east. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The property to the east being zoned also an RPOD. That is not RPOD. That is RDD2. That's, if many are familiar, that's the loft Wall Street Lofts. Wall Street Lofts, which was zoned or was developed in conformance with the RDD2 zoning district. So what they're requesting now is the PRD zoning district, which will allow the residential development and/or mixed commercial uses. The review process for this, it went through a concept review at the Downtown Redevelopment Board, which had a positive review. After the concept review by the Downtown Blue Road Redevelopment Board, it went into TRT for all the technical reviews. Once that was completed, it did go to the Downtown Redevelopment Board for their recommendation to you, which they unanimously made the recommendation to you, and now it's before Planning Board. And with this being a zone change, it will have final approval with City Commission. Also included in your packet is the proposed layout. It is the 15 residential townhome sites. These are single-family lots. They will not have party walls, so therefore it's not really a townhome development. It is actually single-family, so each lot will be able to sold separately. And the applicant, if you have questions about that, will be able to explain that further. The one thing I'd like to note to you, one of the aspects of this project that has been requested by the redevelopment staff and concurred with at the Downtown Redevelopment Board is for what is called Lot 6 to be developed with a commercial use on the ground floor at this corner, so to maintain some commercial uses in the site. So the way this development will work, the individual buyers of the property will have the option to either develop townhome or like row houses. They could be complete row houses, or they could have mixed-use development where the ground floor is a commercial use and they have residential above. It's kind of the option to the buyer, and that's what's reflected in the agreement. But what is Lot 6, which is directly at the corner of Magnolia and Palmetto, would be required to have commercial uses on the ground floor. So another, just probably a typo in the staff report, I think it refers to on page 3, it shows where there's that permitted use table, and it says Lot 6, and it says all floors, single-family use. That really should just be probably above ground floor. So just a clarification on that, because the request of the redevelopment staff has been to ensure that commercial use is on the ground floor at the corner piece of the project. And another aspect of this project that they're requesting waivers for from our code is that the 4 properties here on the south portion of the project do not front directly a public street, a public right-of-way. These 4 parcels are actually fronting a easement. Staff does not really have any concerns about that because that's in keeping with the urban nature of the downtown area, and they still will have access to those properties through the easement. Included in your packet is the architectural designs. Again, this has been reviewed by the Downtown Redevelopment Board, and they have recommended approval of the design. There will be design guidelines as part of the project, and I believe we did attach those to your staff report. Once again, this is the proposed rezoning is the 15-unit single-family subdivision. Will allow the mixed uses, the option to the buyers to have commercial on the ground floor. There is a phased development to it. And then Lot 6 which is at the corner, will have to have commercial on the ground floor. The selected code waivers that they are requesting, again, is in Article 5, Section 1.3, which requires all lots to front upon a public street. Those are the 4 parcels that will actually be facing a easement. And then Article 7, 6.5 requires any new or existing establishments discharging industrial commercial waste to maintain manholes. There was quite an issue with our utilities about the manholes. Discussion at the redevelopment board also about this issue, and the applicant and our utility department have come to agreement that under certain uses they will put in a manhole, but otherwise the one manhole will be sufficient for the project, and our utilities department has agreed to that change, or that requested waiver. The public benefit is this will further redevelopment stabilization efforts in our downtown redevelopment area, and will be a catalyst project for future reinvestment in our core area of Daytona Beach. So the recommendation by the Downtown Blue Road Redevelopment Board and staff is to approve the rezone subject property from the residential planned unit development to the planned redevelopment district and enter into the Williams Square PRD agreement. So is there any questions?
Any questions of staff? we hear from the applicant? Mr. Chalice and Mr. White.
Chair, Board, Chris Chalice, White Chalice Redevelopment, 112 Orange Avenue, Daytona Beach. I'm here with my partner, Jack White, and the project engineer, Parker Minchenberg, is also with us. Thank you all for your time, and like Mark before, thank you all for the accommodation when the paper, I guess, had the publication issue. We appreciate your accommodation and getting to be here this evening. Really excited about this project, and I appreciate Jason and Dennis and all the work they've done. I appreciate Jason's staff report. It's very thorough. We're just happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Any questions?
Chris, I have one question. When you guys came to the agreement with the utilities, did you talk about what happens if the use on the ground floor changes?
If the use on the ground floor would change in the future after construction, then an inspection manhole would be required as part of the permitting for that.
So you can go ahead and put it in later at a later date. That works.
It'd be probably prohibitively expensive to do that, but yeah, it is possible.
Chris, can there be retail in any of the units? I know retail is required in Lot 6, but any of the units, can they have retail on the first floor?
No, sir. The corner lot, and we try to provide for Lot 6 would be commercial, which would allow a commercial including office or retail. But if you look at the table of uses for the other lots off of Lot 6, those are professional services, personal services, and so forth, not retail. For the ground floor.
So it could be an attorney's office or...
That's the idea. The idea is...
Doctor or whatever.
Absolutely, yes, sir. The idea here is to create a live-work unit. There's a lot of other communities where live-work units are starting to become more popular. Obviously, we've got some RP zoning where some of that might be going on, but in terms of new construction, this is an attempt at adapting that into our community.
Because the retail sales and service is shown in Lot 1 through 5 and 7 through 15 on page 3.
Of the staff report.
Yeah.
That, I apologize for that. If the actual table of uses from the development agreement itself, and I imagine you guys have that, but I'm not sure. But on my page 3, section 5, Carrie, do you have my development agreement?
They don't have it.
Okay. Section 5 of the development agreement, which is permitted uses, lists for lots 1 through 5 and 7 through 15. Ground floor only, business services, personal services, and professional services.
Because as I was reading the narrative, the retail didn't seem to fit in with those
Right.
the other units.
And that was a typo. I didn't catch that in reading Jason's report. I apologize.
And the other thing I noticed, the detail, the height limit, 50 feet or 57 feet?
It should be 55 feet.
Or 55.
I'm sorry, I apologize. 50 feet, excluding ancillary structures associated with rooftop gardens, HVAC, and et cetera. It's 50 feet.
50, okay.
50.
50 feet, what are the other ones? Are they about 50 feet?
The lofts are close to 40.
40 feet.
40, so these will be taller.
Well, of course, that's just a cap. Each individual unit, the intent here is to subdivide. This is, as Jack calls it, the new urban subdivision. Subdivide this project, construct the infrastructure, and then sell the lots off. And then the individual building permits would come in to the development review staff for review and approval, consistent with the development agreement. So a buyer may have a 2 or 3 story, or may have a 4-story unit.
If I can mention one thing on the heights, something to keep in mind. I don't know how much there's been discussions at the planning board about this, but the Downtown Redevelopment Board has had extensive discussions regarding the future vision of downtown, and a lot of the vision has been kind of a stepped back approach. So you have 3 stories on the ground floor, and then really what was in keeping was what was the previous William project, I believe, was 7 stories. And there's been a lot of talk of then behind it, because of river views, you would step back. So buildings that are on like Palmetto would have heights up to maybe 7 or 8 stories, so that those, from floors 4 to 8, this tiered approach, so that those upper floors would have the views of the river, and then as you get back to Ridgewood, it would go even higher. So there's a whole vision that's been laid out by the Downtown Redevelopment Board. And matter of fact, what we're doing with the Clarion rewrite is to place this into what's occurring downtown, is this whole step. So this is very much, I think, in keeping with that vision that the Downtown Board has adopted for the downtown area.
Now, you said you're gonna have different owners. Will you have some continuity of architecture?
Absolutely. The development agreement itself spells out a set of 4 different architectural styles. There will also be a property owners association for the property with deed covenants that include in more detail architectural requirements than what are even in the development agreement.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice to put that picture back.
Yeah,
It's a good looking picture.
because you really appreciate what's there once you see. We've hammered this.
Bob, I just,
Picture's better than words.
yeah, so it's, you'll see here, these are individual,
Graduated.
essentially brownstones is what they probably are better referred to as. Rear entry 2 or 3 car garage at the rear. So this one actually, I think we've got about 4 or 5 different styles captured in here. Although because of its narrow size, the continuity of the scaling is all the same, but it really reflects 4 different styles that are within there. So they're listed. I think it was in their packet, wasn't it, Jason? So the scaling is cohesive, and then the architectural style can blend depending on which lot you buy.
In your packet, attachment B is the architectural standards that will be attached to the agreement.
So a person buys the lot and then chooses from the available 4 or 5 styles?
Correct.
Do you have controls? What if you had 2 right together that wanted to build exactly the same thing? Do you?
Those will be in the deed in the restrictive covenants governed by the association. It's just like a custom neighborhood, except we're adapting a custom neighborhood idea to an urban product.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question, I just got a comment, everybody keeps thanking us for coming to 2 meetings, but I'm kind of glad to be at this one. It's the first one we've had. New stuff coming. And positive stuff. I wouldn't have missed this one for anything. The first thing and then this, because now I've been in the lofts, the project that they did, and been on the rooftop of it, and it's a gorgeous project. This one is going to be a welcome addition to downtown, and we get more feet downtown, we get more specialty shops, and it's going to, the more people we get, the more the specialty shops are coming, and it's going to make downtown active and get it more unique than what it is. I'm really excited about it.
I think just one point I want to make. Jack has often indicated that you have to have people downtown in order to have stores and things that can do well. And I think you've really done a nice job about moving us towards that goal.
Exactly. Right.
Actually, by the way, I just wanted to make the point too that if we're here tonight, I know that was a sacrifice on our part, but it means we don't have to shop.
But what about your wife? That's the big question.
You could buy her a townhouse. You could buy her a townhouse.
Mr. Mitchenberg, did you have any comments you want to make on this? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to speak for or against? All right, we'll close with that. Board, any comments? Or we said it all already.
Yes, excellent project. Excellent project. I'm ready to see.
Make a motion, we approve rezoning plan development, district development 2011-065, William Square, PRD.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Ms. Washington, item number 6.
Item number 6, preliminary plat, William Square, DEV 2011-066.
Mr. Mrozek.
Thank you, Dennis Mrozek, planner with the City of Daytona Beach. This is an item that's in conjunction with the previous item. It's a preliminary plat for the William Square. Request to approve the preliminary plat for the 1 acre of land to allow the development of the 15-unit single-family subdivision and associated improvements. Again, you know the location, just southeast corner of Palmetto and Magnolia. The purpose of the subdivision and platting requirements is detailed in Article 4, Section 4.1, to ensure that adequate infrastructure is installed and available for development to prevent hazards due to traffic, flooding, unsanitary conditions, or other causes, permit development in an orderly physical pattern, and prevent undue burdens or costs to the public. The preliminary plat approval does require a planning board review with a recommendation to the city commission for approval. The final plat, when it would return, would just return to the city commission. The waiver request, which was brought up by Jason, having to do with the 4 lots on the south side of the property. The 4 lots not fronting the public street, but they do front the existing 24-foot access easement, and it is a standard that can be modified by the Land Development Code. As determined by staff technical review team, the proposed preliminary plat is in compliance with the subdivision requirements of the Land Development Code if the requested waiver is granted, and staff does recommend approval of the preliminary plat request. The item is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the City Commission February 15th, 2012, and a majority vote of the members present and voting is required for action. Thank you.
Any questions of staff? Applicants? Anyone in the public like to address for, against? Board? Any comments?
Let's move.
So make a motion, we approve preliminary plat development 2011-066 Williams Square.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Moving on to other business, we had our 3 reports last week. I don't believe anybody has met since then. So we'll go with public comments. We have Mr. Nicholson would like to make a comment.
Mr. Public.
I'd just like to say, I already said it.
Sorry, we have Mr. Nicholson.
Oh, I thought you said board comments. Excuse me, Mr. Nicholson.
John Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. It's been a good year. We've accomplished a lot, considering the economy. I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy New Year's.
Merry Christmas.
All right, staff comments.
No comments other than to, again, express what Rich said the other night. Thank you for adding another meeting to your busy schedule by accommodating tonight. We appreciate that due to our advertising problem.
I think we were all very happy to. Board comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to again say, something positive coming forward is always a good feeling, and the Family Entertainment Center, and then these coming forward, just like the loft, the loft, everything, it helps enhance our city, and it's good to see these things come.
Can I?
Yes, Bob.
I just wanted to say, and I've said this before in front of this board, but I feel so good about being on this board because it is the most civil organization, I think, in this whole community. We disagree sometimes, but we do it civilly. And I really, it's something I'm very proud of, that as far as this board is concerned. It's something we should be very proud of.
Good comment, I agree with that. I'd just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas again, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year.
See you next year.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.
And I'll come back for a special meeting if they got any more good stuff like this.
We'll do that.